And welcome back, everybody, to the CENC NJCAAE playoffs, the after show, the post show, whatever you want to call it. We're here for it. I will be one of your hosts for the evening, Ravishing Ravish, the most ravishing man of the internet. And I'm joined here by my side for one of the very first times by Miss Kari Wave. How you doing, Kari?
I'm doing so well, Ravish. How are you doing this wonderful evening?
Oh, I could not be better. I must say, I'm quite splendid. It's the top of the morning, isn't it?
Top of the morning to you. I'm so excited to be a part of this post show. I'm really excited to go over what we've been through in the last, 6 hours, I think, is what we've been through here. So
It feels like 5 minutes, I gotta say.
it
But
really does. I've actually had a wonderful time watching, especially Rocket League it was a lot. I think we went to 7 games out of the, what was it, like 7 out of the 4 games that we had.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was rough. It was, or no.
Yeah, seven
We
out of
went
the
to
four
7
games.
games out of the,
It,
gosh.
so three out of the 4 times we went to all 7 games. The fourth game
That's what I
we
meant to
went to
say.
5 games. So that's a lot of
Gosh.
numbers in progression. We said three, four,
7
five, and
games.
seven 4 different times. Like you're mentioning, 3 games, 3 games, 7 games, fourth game,
Mm-hmm.
5 rounds. There you go.
Uh-huh.
You
Uh-huh.
got it all. As we're about ready to hop into the first question of the day, let's break down these matches, Kari.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Yeah, because look, hopping into the first game, this is the one that went to 7 games and just complete back and forth. Of course, casted by Video Max Formal and FBI talk about that we're seeing, bro. This is like Kari. Now, as this being like one of your as this being like a much more of an introduction for you for car soccer. What did you think of it? What were you thinking about while watching these games? How did it make you feel in your chest?
So this is one of my first encounters with professional Rocket League, and I was stunned at the level of skill. So the times that I've played Rocket League, I haven't even been able to do 1/100th of the things that I saw during
Mhm.
these matches. Like, actually incredible. Like, the way that these matches start, I mean, I'm sure people know, but the way that they start when I'm playing it versus when you watch it professionally, it just
Mhm.
takes off so quickly, and I'm absolutely astounded. Like, these were really, really exciting. I'm genuinely stunned at how fun it is to actually watch these games and the skill that these college kids, maybe
Mhm.
not kids, these could be adults. Adults are allowed in college. We don't know
They
anybody's ages. These
no,
college
no.
humans really, really impressed me today, especially the fact that they were so competitive that they took it to 7 games
Mhm.
for 3 out of the 4 total series
Ah,
that we had.
yeah.
See, I know numbers now. It actually genuinely stunned me. So I think that
Yeah.
to like, I don't know. I think I might be a Rocket League caster now. I think I might have to get into that.
I honestly believe you. Yeah, like we were seeing, like, and looking at game two right now that we have in front of us, right, between Hawkeye and Webbenhouse, right? It was the consistent back and forth between both of these teams, the unparalleled oppression that came on this. Like you saw how Webbenhouse too was able to set up a solid rotation across the board, and you saw that Lincoln, sorry, was able to score 7 goals in one of these, which is disgusting. They almost Braziled them too, which is crazy. We don't want to see that happen. I was actually the most we've seen in any show today, Kari.
Yeah, I'm genuinely surprised that St. Clair was even able to maintain a mental with that, like, 7 goals, the most we've seen in the series. Like, to be able to like withstand that sort of heat and still manage to pull out 3 wins. It's still pretty great. It's still pretty impressive. The fact that they could actually withstand that, especially when that was the first series that we saw of the day. What an explosive beginning to this whole thing! Like, I'm hype.
Yeah, and considering it's between the first and the ninth seed, nonetheless, right? I don't think many people were expecting it to be as close as it was, and
Yeah.
considering how back and forth it actually became, too. Lincoln, they put up a good fight, but St. Clair too, as well, on the other end, they came out swinging. But of course, there by the end, Lincoln looked a lot better. Absolutely cleaned it up and it closed it out. But it came down to the final game, though. But I guess that's why they are the first seed, right? They maintain cool and calm under pressure. But moving on down to Jackson versus North Virginia. It's a lot closer match. The fourth versus the fifth seed, Kari.
Yeah, that's a little bit. It seems it's crazy because the first seed versus the ninth seed. So Lincoln, who got scored the most goals in the series so far, versus St. Clair. You'd think that would be the situation that would happen between the 4th and the 5th seed, because they went to 7 games and they were really competitive, whereas this one just went to 5 games. And this is the only one series out of the 4 that we did see today that went to 5 games. And it was something of a stomp on Jackson's side, which I didn't expect, because Northern Virginia is the 5th seed, so they're not separated, by that much skill in terms of how they made it into this bracket. So I'm actually pretty it's just interesting how sometimes the seeding, because of the time that elapses between when they qualify and when they actually play, some people go into the hyperbolic time chamber and just come out a Rocket League champion. Like, genuinely, some of these cars were on fire, literally.
I believe so. That's called demolitions, Kari. It was happening as the cars were literally exploding in front of you. But I appreciate the Dragon Ball reference.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you were
I got you.
as they went down to the chamber 2 and went all the way up to C. Went all the way up to, oh my god, I'm blanking on the name of the big man with the turban who else you trained though. You know what? I'm not even gonna worry about it right now because no,
It's not
producer son,
Piccolo.
it is not Piccolo. The man with the turban, bro. It's, it doesn't matter. Mr. Popo. There you go.
Mr. Popo.
Mr. Popo too. So when these yeah, don't. Yeah, definitely, because you can
Mr.
see that
Popo.
when they went into the chamber, they came out just looking even, fresh, stronger. They had faster rotations, and considering how back and forth it was, like you mentioned, this will only will go into 5 games though. The performance that came out of Jackson consistently, even though they were only down a couple, right there at the end, the way they're able to come out swinging, especially with their players, I would liken a lot of the passes they were making with the control of the right field as well.
Yeah, I think that to be able to make such a strong showing in such a close seed, truly incredible. And then on to game 3, or series 3. It's rounds, games, whatever.
Yeah.
We had Hawkeye against Wabansi. Am I saying that correctly? Wabansi?
Wow,
Wabansi.
bound C.
Yeah.
Because I'm surprised by wow. A bao is a steam bun, a Vietnamese steam bun,
And we see
C.
it.
Look, wow, bound C.
Bon. It's French, bon. This is silly. Yeah, Hawkeye was the 2nd seed, and Wabansi was the 7th seed. And once again, an upset, a hyperbolic time chamber upset, where the 11th seed still takes it. Like, they push us to a game 7, they make us watch all 7 rounds, and then they come out on top. The 11th seed on top of the 2nd seed. I mean, how does this keep? I mean, how do these upsets keep happening?
Definitely, like you mentioned it, right? And this was, I find, a much more slower paced game in between these two teams. It wasn't super explosive like we've seen a lot of the other games go. But considering they were playing very controlled Rocket League, right? Good pops that they had. A lot of them focused mainly on midfield control and punishing just out of place positions, right? If you weren't able to challenge the 50s, Wabon C was nowhere to be seen.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing. I'm actually genuinely, though, the control that you can actually possess during these semi-professional college games are really actually incredible. And to me, the slower, more controlled games that do get pushed out to these longer rounds are actually more interesting to watch, genuinely, because the gameplay is a little easier to follow. And as somebody who's a little bit newer to Rocket League, it was a real joy to watch this. So
yeah, and considering how the service even went down for a little bit between games 4 and 5 too, like that was that on its own made for its own fun adventure too. Moving on to the next series where we got Nassau versus Hudson Valley, one of our last series that we had of the day. Another one going to absolutely 7 games, right? But Kari, because I believe this one is they don't really have footage from the stream too, because that one had to be pushed all the way to the end. Considering how many games were happening at this time, it just shows, right, the competition, the fury, the drive that all these players had, and not only because they were in cars.
the drive, right? Got it. Not Ryan Gosling type, the Rocket League
No.
type, of course. Yeah, okay, so here's the thing is that the game actually went over, so they had to do it for time constraints. The thing that really impresses me is that there weren't any stomps. I didn't actually get to watch anybody get totally dominated, which I was so impressed with. I'm so impressed that all of these players really feel like the stakes are very high and they're taking it very seriously, because it is car soccer, and so I don't know. I'm so jazzed. I'm absolutely like smitten with Rocket League now at this point.
And considering this is also another case of a lower seed meeting a much higher seed,
Mhm.
which means that now both the second and third seed were immediately just taken off the board in this bracket currently because Nassau was 11th compared to their herd, which is absolutely fantastic. And how and also consider looking at these games too, almost all of them went to overtime.
Yeah.
This is absolutely insane. Though not being a caster with Rocket League 2, going to almost about 3 minutes of overtime is absolute madness, right? Considering how
Mm-mm.
back and forth it's been, it is down to the absolute wire. To both of you know that any mistake you make could be potentially fatal. It is one and done. Just taking it that far just means how back and forth between both these teams have been. And game 7 is also between Hawkeye and also Weapon House 2 was also another one that was a lot of fun. Also went to overtime as well too. So it's like, man, both these teams for Rocket League 2 also just put up by the faces of Max Formal and FBI. Some of you saw right there, man. Those beautiful snatches continue to haunt and brighten my day. The more I see them.
I'm a big fan of the casters too. Genuinely like guided me through this whole thing with so much like casual enthusiasm. I think I might also be in love with just the Rocket League community in general. Watching Twitch chat while I was watching these games as well, the camaraderie that everybody had was really interesting. All of the schools kind of seemed to have their own memes with each other, so that was really fun to watch.
And that's definitely the best thing, right? Especially when you can see how just the entire community is able to get involved too in watching all of this. Speaking of as right now, we do have the updated bracket for you all with everything. So we do have the bracket that we see for today for all the games that are played throughout. This everything that we saw. Considering just going throughout the day, you know which matches won. You know who's moving on, right? Which that being, if I remembered it all correctly, we will be having Lincoln move on along with Jackson, Wabenhouse, Nassau, and Waco Tech. All right, cool. I think that's all of them, Kurt.
We had four seeds, but it's okay. It's okay. It's Waban C. We have to remember that. It's not Bossing Say, it's Waban C.
It's exactly, there's a Rocket League in Wabansi. I mean Bossing Say.
I'm actually like genuinely excited because so many underdogs came out on top in these games, and so it's sort of like I always cheer for the underdog, and so the fact I think the biggest upset by far, let's see, in my opinion, was probably Wabansi in the 7th seed coming out over Hawkeye. So I think that's going to be really cool. But
100%. And I apologize. I believe I did overstate one of the teams wrong, but as I believe we're already hop into our Overwatch segment as well, going into the next thing we just saw. And this one too, honestly, wasn't unfortunately nearly as close as we saw as the other series, right? Just 3-0s between both of these teams, casted by Lemon Kiwi and Leg Day. That officially fantastic duo, which just do so much and say things so beautifully. I gotta say, this is one of my first forays back in Overwatch in quite some time, and the game is just as exciting, as fast-paced to remember, especially with these two teams. And you can see that I don't want to say I don't want to say there was necessarily a gap between the two, but definitely all the dudes from Wake Tech were phenomenal.
yeah, I unfortunately can say that the camaraderie between Wake Tech and Finger Lakes was not as happy as it was with the Rocket League people. They just wanna hit some balls with some cars. But the Overwatch, I don't know if you guys have seen competitive gears, but I was afraid that if we had been in person, some blows would have come out because the Finger Lakes, despite getting swept, that's the 5th seed versus the 1st seed Wake Tech. Finger Lakes has a very dedicated fan base, and they were willing to go to blows for their team. And actually, I mean, considering even though it was a 3-0, I genuinely feel like Finger Lakes had very good fundamentals. It was just a matter of actually drafting comps that were more adaptable, because a lot of the time we saw some very stringent, like I don't want to say one tricks, I just want to say that less adaptable players. So while they were very skilled on one particular comp, maybe not super adaptable for Finger Lakes. So I mean, it was fun to watch, because Wake Tech is genuinely so dominant. Like, I can't remember the name of the player, perhaps production can help me with this, but there was Crimson something on Wake Tech that was like an absolute.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have it. It's here. It's something here.
Yeah, no
I remember we were
worries.
talking about it, and you yelled at it, and you yelled it at me.
I
Crimson
did.
King.
Crimson King. I put little heart emojis around the name. I was like, it was just like a yakety sax rip roaring good time. Watching the McCree with the hit scan in the first round on Hanamura. I think it was Hanamura. I don't think it was Hanamura, actually. I think it was the Black Forest. But it was actually like a genuinely good time to watch. And so those, I see a lot of potential in Wake Tech, without a doubt.
I mean, considering how much free reign D McCree had, it might as well have been the Black Forest. Consider right now. Look at us right now. Look at the boop at the side, and he's
Gotta beat the
and
suit.
say it's at the point I feel like I should be like one of the Japanese commentators. Which is just a super famous clip they do. Like whenever they score a home run, that's like, and this ball is gone, like the ex-girlfriend who never come back again. It's just such a fantastic clip.
It's fun to
like
watch.
you mentioned, right? It's just between both of these teams, right? Wake Tech genuinely making themselves to be a dominant party. And when it comes down to two CP maps like this one, especially going on to Volskaya, the way you're able to aggress on an opponent on the attack genuinely shows just how much aggression and hit scan ability that you have. And like you mentioned, Cardi, it just seemed like, the Finger Lakes, sorry, not the Finger Lakes, yeah, the Finger Lakes were just caught up in their rigid compositions to not punish the hit scans, where they had free reign, dwelling down on every single high ground sight lines onto every single one of their species. It was an unfortunate set line, but one that I enjoyed seeing.
Yeah, I genuinely did. I think that if they can get a really good Winston on their team, just a little more like dive capability, then I think that they'll do very, very well. It's unfortunate, but if you have a good hit scan or a sniper on your team with a dedicated healer, if you can't see the healer, you're not gonna win. There's nothing you can do. You have to take that out if they're being pocket healed. So good effort on Finger Lakes. They just didn't have the composition type to really be competitive. So you just try again. All you can do is get better. There's so much potential there, and Wake Tech, unfortunately, for Finger Lakes, came out victorious.
Yeah, and you see right now the final hold on Volskaya as well. Their Zarya was just
That was so hard to watch.
Good.
Yeah.
Considering absolute clutch shields.
The Zarya peels were absolutely disgusting. Like that part in particular, I was just like, every time I look, I was like, oh, stop! They're already dead. Like it was very much, a stop! They're already dead situation. So.
The wombo combos also came out along with the Hanzo as well. Were beautiful too. Were able to send their dragons flying throughout the entire map. Let's move on down to the final match of the night, with Brian Stratton going up against Sunny Broom, another Leo card.
Yeah. This one. Gosh, I really want to say that it made me feel things, but it was mostly just, once again, the stop, they're already dead. It was tough to watch, and I think that at a certain point, our casters were giving Sunny Broom some pointers and some tips for the future, which I think sometimes when games go a certain way, especially like you and I both cast, we know our audiences aren't stupid. At a certain point, you just kind of have to stop pretending that it's that the hope is there and it's going to go a certain way, and you just kind of break it down and talk to your teams and try to give them a little bit of encouragement going forward. So it was rough. It was really rough, but it was fun. It's still fun to watch, especially because the other two teams, Wake Tech and Brighton Stratton, were both so dominant that I'm actually really excited to see what the future holds for these two teams. You should follow Wake Tech in particular. I think has a lot of potential, but out of the four teams that we saw, anything could happen. We just need a little more variability from Finger Lakes, and maybe a little more. So with Sunny Broom, the issue was actually passivity, and I think that a lot of people when they play Overwatch, especially to start, when you start to go pro, you don't realize how punishing passivity can truly be. You have to be active, you have to be aggressive, you can't constantly be responding to the enemy's bids or you will get crushed. And that's kind of what happened in this situation. I think this is just a team on the up and up, maybe a couple more scrims and a little more practice, and they have so much potential.
There's this also a eternal thing which haunts us both in the game and real life called time, Kari.
Time!
They just could not take advantage of or let them, you know, or let it be in their favor. Unfortunately, I bet they wish they had a zillion on their team, but it's Overwatch, not League of Legends. So things did not work out in their favor. No chrono break going on. People couldn't be able to rewind them back either. And like you mentioned, right? Considering just the competitive between both these teams as you move on into the bracket, and when they are allowed to face, when they do so, eventually games will be absolutely fantastic. I'm personally favoring Brian Stratton for one reason only. It's because they play Junkrat. Keep doing that, I'm all for it.
I like the Junkrat bias.
It's just there, but any person from Junkrat too, I'm genuinely all for. Considering I was a hog main, right? And as we ended off the game too, when you saw at the end, right there in Icon Evolved, the hold was just so clean. They always have so much time bank on them. Just clean play across the board, especially along with the Winston ball combo. They able to exert so much pressure, and you can see they had real nowhere dealing with the Pharah either. In the map you just saw like 5 minutes ago as well, the Hanamura hold where they went through the door and they got obliterated. It was the second they were going out on the attack, and then they were both gone.
Nah. This is one of those situations where one team puts this clip on their resume and the other one doesn't even talk about it. They never acknowledge it again. They never speak of it ever again. And it's okay. Some get the W and some don't, and that's because it's the nature of competition. So, yeah, oh no.
There's the grab goes down with the dragon. It's hard to watch.
You put that in your clip reel, you know? If you were on Brighton and Stratton, you put that in your clip reel, because that was some absolutely clutch play, genuinely.
Yeah. See, so there's this thing called a choke, which you shouldn't group up,
Whoa.
And unfortunately that did end up happening to them, but it was fun plays to watch nonetheless, though I'm sure one team was having much more fun than the other. I know, I've been in many of those games.
Yeah, we've all experienced them, just not at this level of play. Honestly, we can criticize all we want, but neither you nor I would stand one round against one of these teams. All four of them would crush us, so...
1,000%.
Yeah, Brighton Stratton, absolutely dominant.
Yes, ma'am. Though, so absolutely fantastic stuff with both of them. I do want to thank Lemon Kiwi and Legday yet again for casting all those games for us. It was such a fun time to see them all back at it. We do have the bracket for you all as well to see how it looks within the Overwatch scene. And yeah, like we just mentioned, 4 teams moving out across the board between these two, man. I'm still cannot wait for the day when Finger Lakes and along with Brian Stratton are able to meet and combat one another. Just go back and forth with the fisticuffs.
Yeah, just get a little, gotta go at them. So I'm. If you don't tune in for these finals, I will find you and I will take you out. So
you know what? That's just you. I'll just be sat in my room and I will learn to deal with it because that's how I was told to deal with my emotions. But so clearly, you and I have a very different way going about things, which is perfectly fine. That's okay. Healthy versus not so much. And like we're looking at it right now, remember here, friends, we're not done for the action for the entire day either. We have more action coming at you across the next 2 days, right? We do have a bracket for Smash Brothers as well, though. So all King DDD mains can see me at Final Destination.
Oh my god, I love it.
But these are the players we've seen going into tomorrow, man. We have another fantastic bit of casters coming at you who will take you through it all. And I gotta say, man, this is going to be so fun between Smash. I love seeing especially collegiate level Smash too, because the players are a lot more they're a lot less safe in their and they're down to just give up homie stocks sometimes just to make things more fun.
Yeah, I think Smash is going to be a smash, if you will. So,
Haha!
I know, haha! Tune in for these games tomorrow. I believe we also have Valorant tomorrow in addition to Smash. And so let's take a look at that bracket as well. Valorant, one of my favorite games. I think that my passion for Overwatch was very clear, and that extends to Valorant as well. So tune in for this one as well. It's going to be a rip-roaring good time, hopefully. Hopefully we get a little more action than we did in terms of sweeps with the Overwatch bracket. But regardless, everything is going to get way more explosive the deeper we get in these brackets. So please, for the love of God, tune in tomorrow for both Smash and Valorant.
Like you mentioned, yeah, just
like,
between all those games, this should be an absolutely fantastic time, especially when the Valorant meta. Being a fan of the game myself, I'm really excited to see what actually forms and evolves between these two, between the teams, and the compositions they decide to pick. Considering Viper meta is very heavy, Euro might be viable, and now Breeze considering it's now available and it will be very very soon. So between them two, I hope all these teams are practicing and brushing up on their mechanics and they're using Astra, because if they're not, you're just simply playing yourselves. But that's all the games for today. Carly, let's thank some sponsors.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Okay, this is a long list. We've got Barbasol, Lenovo Legion, Deathwish, Athletes Unheard, Reveal Suits, KYOW, Carolina Alehouse, HyperX, I Buy Power, E-Team Sponsor, Larry and Lenny's, or and that's it. That's it. Okay, I've done it. I made it.
Wonderful. And of course, organized as well, the Collegiate Sports Management Group, the NJCAAE, of course, too, for helping make sure everything all runs smoothly and beautifully. And always our beautiful production crew in the back as well. K-Tad and his squad, making us all look beautiful as always, making sure things run smooth. Big thank you and big shout out to all of our casters today as well for lending their beautiful voices to these games. And make sure to tune in tomorrow as we have many more for you. You mentioned Smash Bros. And Valorant. So, with all that being said, y'all stay safe, take care. We'll see you all tomorrow. I've been Ravish, as Cardi. Wave. Peace.